Mr. President.
The senator from Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, today is...
Excuse me. We are in a quorum call.
I ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be vitiated.
No objections.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, today is Thursday, October the 7th, 2021, and Risk Rating 2.0 has officially been in effect for 6 full days. What is Risk Rating 2.0? A new rating system for the National Flood Insurance Program that will increase premiums higher than sustainable for homeowners and therefore higher than is sustainable for the program. In Louisiana, 80% of policyholders will see increases in the first year, and at time, for some, premiums will become unaffordable and can collapse the value of their home. You are also from a coastal state. This will absolutely affect everyone that lives in a coastal state. Now, particularly in my state, in light of recent storms, it is important that we understand the sustainability of the National Flood Insurance Program is key. Congress never passed a bill requiring that FEMA implement Risk Rating 2.0. President Biden can stop it. He has chosen not to. We have asked that FEMA delay implementing this program or reconsider altogether. Now, by the way, FEMA has been slow to share information with policyholders and, frankly, misleading Congress, hiding the true consequences of 2.0, not being upfront with the cost in the out years. They said they would tell policyholders by August 1 of the increase in premiums by August 1, but they missed the deadline. It didn't come down to homeowners and insurers until middle September. Some are still trying to figure out what this rating system will mean for their life. In 2019, my office reached out to the administration, and we were able to successfully delay the implementation, saying that there needed to be further consideration. This time, however, the Biden administration has chosen not to delay. Now, let's just take a quote from a working family in Lake Charles, Louisiana, who does not, I repeat, does not live in a flood zone. They currently pay $572 for flood insurance on a single-family home that's worth approximately $250,000. The quote he received, this is real life, this isn't theoretical, the quote that he received under Risk Rating 2.0 raises his premium to over $5,000. $572 to $5,000. Now, rate increases are capped at 18% annually, so it doesn't happen next year, but this is 18% compounded, kind of like a balloon on one of those little helium things. It starts off and it doesn't seem that it's inflating, and then all of a sudden it inflates rapidly, like a balloon note on a mortgage. And so with progressive increases, when it gets to $5,000, actually $5,624, he will have to choose, do I continue my policy? Now, he's not in a flood zone. If you think about actuarially, you want people who are not at high risk to spread the cost for everybody else. Under this, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that 20% of policyholders will drop their insurance. That has a risk of putting the National Flood Insurance Program into an actuarial death spiral, where those at lower risk drop the insurance, the remaining risk is forced upon a relatively small number of people, raising their risk even more, and you gradually have a continued fall off of the number of people in the program. Now, some policyholders are required to pay for the insurance by law, but this puts them in an even worse situation. They will either have to put thousands of dollars up for their insurance or risk losing their home. I would ask President Biden, who unquestionably is an empathetic man and empathetic to the working families of our country, to consider delaying Risk Rating 2.0. Now, there's a couple of criticisms of the National Flood Insurance Program in general, which are unfounded. First, these are millionaires' vacation homes. Why do we even have a program? This is factually not true. When CBO looked at samples of home values in the program, it ranged from $220,000 to $400,000. And I imagine the president from New Jersey, President of the Senate from New Jersey, can think of a middle-income family, a police officer and a teacher who now live in a home worth $400,000. These are not millionaires or billionaires. In my home state of Louisiana, these are middle-income and working families, folks trying to make ends meet. They are not folks on a vacation home. And here's an example of homes after recent Hurricane Ida that would need flood insurance. Middle-income homes. By the way, you can see these homes are built a little bit on a berm. They've actually taken the effort to protect their homes from flooding, so the home itself is not flooded, just everything else around it. On the other hand, I can promise you that there are older neighborhoods in which the water is above the door sill. Now, looking specifically at Risk Rating 2.0, data shows who will see the rate hikes. It's bad news for Louisiana, where rates will increase for almost everybody. The second thing I want to emphasize.
Would the gentleman please take their conversations off the floor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Second criticism of the program, that it subsidizes people who suffer repetitive flood damage. Now, this argument is mitigated, if you will, by offering mitigation. Data shows that mitigation is good for the taxpayer. According to the National Institute of Building Sciences, for every $1 spent in federal mitigation grants, it saves the program an average of $6. In the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, there's $3.5 billion in flood mitigation assistance grants, grants going towards buying out properties that have experienced repetitive loss. Shoring up the program by removing high-risk properties protects other properties. It's true in your state, it's true in my state. A wise investment to protect the National Flood Insurance Program. So we can have a conversation, by the way, about a criticism that if mitigation opportunities are offered to homeowners and they decline them, what to do about that. On the other hand, when folks are offered mitigation, they almost always accept the opportunity for that. Finally, some argue that private insurers will replace the National Flood Insurance Program. But let's be honest, that will not occur. I support the expansion of private insurance covering flood properties. Consumers should have options, but nothing else. This highlights the need for a long-term fix to the program. In the past, I proposed reforms to ensure that NFIB is affordable and accessible to homeowners, accountable to taxpayers, and sustainable. I've worked on flood insurance programs with Senator Menendez and Gillibrand, both of them coming from states affected by flooding, just as mine is as well. This makes it bipartisan, two different regions that is not only about the Gulf Coast, it is about the Atlantic Coast, the Pacific Coast, and it's about our island properties. By the way, I've been speaking of Louisiana, but Risk Rating 2.0 applies nationwide, impacts all those living on our coast. Once more, we should all of us representing states with coastlines, ask the Biden administration to halt Risk Rating 2.0. This Congress, I'll continue to work to reform NFIP. In addition to affordability, accessibility, accountability, and sustainability, there needs to be an emphasis on supporting prevention and mitigation efforts to prevent future floods. At the end of the day, flood insurance must be affordable for the homeowner, accessible, accountable to the taxpayer, and sustainable for the future. And with that, Mr. President, I request that the following remarks be entered separately into the record.
Without objection.
I would like to take a moment to honor a man in my state of Louisiana who has dedicated nearly 80% of his life to preaching the gospel and serving others through his faith. Pastor A.R. Harris Sr. was born December 16, 1932, in Jonesboro, Louisiana. He has preached the gospel of Jesus Christ since he was 7 years old and led God's people for over 6 decades. Pastor Harris is a veteran who served our country in the United States Army during the Korean War. He and his wife, Eva, of 63 years, have 6 wonderful children, 4 of whom followed their father's footsteps to preach the good word, to spread the gospel. He and Eva are being honored for their 46 years of service at their church, Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church No. 2. He is a man of God, family, and country, and it is my privilege to stand here on the floor of the United States Senate and recognize the faithful service of Pastor A.R. Harris, Sr. God bless him, his family, and God bless the United States of America. And with that, I yield the floor.